There comes a moment in every life when the quiet around you grows weighty, when doors appear sealed, when people pass you by, and when nothing outwardly resembles the flame burning inside. It is in these unseen, hushed seasons that many begin to question their value, their momentum, and their purpose. But listen to this truth without wavering. The hidden place is not punishment. The hidden place is preparation. The hidden place is where God shapes the ones he trusts deeply, when everything above the surface feels unmoving. God is working beneath it. When it seems your voice is ignored, God is sharpening its edge. When you assume you're buried, God is actually planting you. What feels like solitude is divine construction. What appears to be a delay is intentional timing. What looks like silence is God building a blessing, so great it requires secrecy to grow. Many of the most powerful breakthroughs are born in seasons where nothing appears to be shifting. You may feel forgotten by the world, but God remembers you. You may think your prayers echo back empty, but they do not. You may believe you are standing still, but you aren't. You are being equipped for something beyond your present capacity. God is forming strength in you that cannot be forged in the crowd. God is establishing a foundation within you that must be secure before the blessing's weight arrives. God is guarding you from exposure that comes too soon. What he is crafting is too precious, too uncommon, and too mighty to reveal before the right moment. God is not hiding you, he's refining you. There are seasons when God closes every door, not because your future is empty, but because the wrong people wait behind them. There are times when he draws you away from noise, distraction, and disorder, because your spirit must learn to hear his direction clearly. There are moments when he removes what you leaned on, not to weaken you, but to teach you that your strength must rise from him alone. You might feel as though you are losing connections, options, and time. Yet in truth, you are gaining focus, purpose, and divine alignment. God is arranging every detail with precise intention. Nothing in your private season is wasted. Many desire the blessing but resist the shaping. They want elevation without discipline. They crave public honor without private pruning. God molds those he trusts, and he does it where no one is watching. In the quiet hours, he confronts your fears. In the unseen seasons, he fortifies your character. In the private place, he strips away pride, anger, impatience, and doubt. God prepares you in secrecy so that when he places you in visibility, nothing can shake you. He strengthens the foundation so the blessing can stand. He roots you deeply so your future will remain steady. You may look around and see nothing in your life resembling the promise God whispered to your spirit. But remember, the seed never mirrors the tree. The cocoon never matches the butterfly. The training ground rarely resembles the stage. Private seasons almost never look like destiny, yet they are the birthplace of it. You are in a chapter that does not look like the ending, but it is vital to reaching that ending. Do not mistake preparation for rejection. Do not mistake silence for separation. Do not mistake delay for dismissal. God is shaping you for something far greater than anything you have asked for. God is equipping you for a blessing too large to fit inside the life you once carried. God is positioning you for a moment that will transform your entire narrative. Hidden seasons expose what your public destiny will require. If God is teaching you endurance right now, it is because your future will demand endurance. If He is strengthening your trust right now, it is because your path ahead will rely on trust. If He is pulling you out of certain spaces, it is because your purpose cannot flourish in that soil. Every piece of this season has intention. Every struggle holds a message. Every setback becomes guidance. Every unresolved question is molding you. God lets nothing slip through unused. Not the tears, not the uncertainty, not the long waiting. Everything becomes an instrument in His hands to prepare you for the blessing He has reserved for you. And that blessing will not be ordinary. It will not be small. It will not be quiet. It will not be something easily hidden or minimized. It will be a blessing that displays the depth of God's loyalty. It will be a blessing that proves why waiting mattered. It will be a blessing that makes it clear the private season was not a loss, but a positioning. God is orchestrating something for you that must be unveiled publicly and only after you have been refined privately. When He lifts you, it will be unmistakable that His hand is guiding you. When He favors you, others will notice the shift. When He unlocks the door, no one will doubt who opened it. Some of you are walking through a season where you feel stripped to the bone. You lost connections you believed would last a lifetime. You lost chances you depended on. You lost confidence. You lost direction. You lost the sense of progress. But sometimes God must clear the platform before revealing what He intends to place there. Sometimes God removes what you assumed you needed so He can reveal what you truly need. Sometimes He leads you through quiet valleys to give strength to your voice for the mountains. Your losses are not the finish line. They are restructuring. They are the pruning. They are the making of room for what is ahead. Many long for elevation but resist the process required to build it. They want strength without pressure. They want insight without trials. They want insight without trials. They want blessings without responsibility. But God's training is deliberate. He teaches you through experiences that form your heart. He teaches you through battles that sharpen your vision. He teaches you through discomfort that builds endurance. He teaches you through seasons that force you to rely on Him in deeper ways than ever before. And when God becomes your teacher, the lessons may feel heavy, but they carry lasting worth. They prepare you for platforms you are not ready for yet. They prepare you for assignments you cannot yet picture. They prepare you for blessings you are not strong enough to hold yet. You may not see movement, but your spirit is stretching wider. You may not notice transformation, but your roots are reaching deeper. You may not feel powerful, but strength is quietly forming. You may not witness signs, but your way forward is being cleared. What God forms in secrecy carries far more weight than anything people applaud in public. God is not focused on appearances. God is focused on depth. God is not shaping your image. God is shaping your endurance. God is not intent on impressing crowds. God is intent on molding your soul. He is working on the unseen layers of your life, because those are the places that determine the stability of what He will reveal later. He has been shielding you from rooms you believed were meant for you. He has been restraining you from connections that would have sabotaged your future. He has been closing pathways that would have led you off your assignment. And because you couldn't interpret it, you labeled it delay. But it was protection. It was grace. It was divine restructuring. God is not keeping you small. He is keeping you secure until the appointed moment arrives. And when that moment comes, every closed door will make sense. Every person he removed will make sense. Every painful shift will make sense. Every hidden season will make sense. There are times when God allows you to move through life unnoticed, uncelebrated, and underestimated because he is forming a strength in you that doesn't need applause to grow. There is a kind of power that can only emerge in silence. There is a kind of wisdom that can only mature in stillness. There is a kind of depth that only forms when no one is observing. God is not preparing you for a brief moment of recognition. He is preparing you for a lifetime rooted in purpose. And purpose cannot be forged in noise. Purpose must be crafted in the quiet spaces where your heart, your thoughts, and your faith learn to stand independently. Private training produces warriors who cannot be moved. Private shaping creates leaders who do not crumble under pressure. Private refinement produces voices that carry authority, because they have walked through fire with God and learned to trust his guidance when nothing made sense. You may be standing in a place right now where you feel unseen. You may be surrounded by people who cannot perceive what God is forming within you. You may feel as if you're living beneath your potential, working in roles that do not reflect your gift, holding dreams that seem too heavy for your current season, but do not despise where you are. God often places you in environments that do not mirror your destiny because he is teaching you to flourish through discipline rather than recognition. He teaches you to depend on him when the surroundings feel uncomfortable. He teaches you to grow even when the soil feels far. He teaches you to rise above what your natural eyes perceive and trust what your spirit. God is training you in places you never would have chosen so he can lead you into places you could never reach by yourself. The people around you may not grasp your calling. They may not recognize the depth of your potential. They may misunderstand your quietness or question the pace of your progress. But their understanding does not matter. God did not give them your vision. God did not plant in their spirit what he planted in yours. God does not need their permission for the journey you're on. He only asks you to remain faithful. Private preparation does not require public validation. The road God designed for you is tailored for your future. It is crafted for your destiny. It is meant to develop you into someone capable of carrying what you have been praying for. The blessing God is shaping for you cannot rest on an unstable foundation. That is why he is fortifying what others fail to notice. There are seasons when God removes distractions so your heart can hear him clearly, not because he is far away, but because he is close. Nearness becomes louder in silence. His voice becomes clearer when worldly noise diminishes. His direction becomes unmistakable when you learn to listen with your spirit instead of your emotion. God is forming you through experiences that teach you how to recognize him, how to follow him, and how to trust him. Even when the path bends unexpectedly, you are not drifting. You are being led. You are not overlooked. You are being positioned. You are not idle. You are being prepared for something that will require every lesson being shaped in you right now. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life begin in discomfort. Growth rarely forms in ease. Transformation seldom happens in convenience. God often stretches you beyond what feels comfortable because he is expanding your capacity. He leads you into seasons that expose what needs strengthening, what needs surrender, and what needs rebuilding. There are parts of you that cannot mature unless pressure is applied. There are gifts within you that cannot rise until you are pushed. There is courage in you that will never appear until fear tries to silence you. God is not stretching you to break you. God is stretching you to enlarge you. You may not recognize it, but right now, God is teaching you how to shoulder responsibility. He is teaching you how to steward faith's bearer well. He is teaching you how to carry influence with humility. He is teaching you how to respond to challenges with wisdom rather than frustration. These lessons are not taught in the spotlight. They are formed in the quiet, unseen hours when no one is observing. God allows you to face small tests so you can bear great blessings. He refines your reactions now so your character will not sabotage your future. He builds discipline when no one applauds so you can stand steady when everyone is watching. Some of you have been questioning why certain relationships faded, why certain doors shut, why certain people left, why certain opportunities disappeared. But what you call a loss, God calls realignment. What you call disappointment, God calls a new direction. What you call loneliness, God calls focus. He removes the temporary so the lasting can take its place. He clears away distractions so the path ahead becomes sharper. He separates you from people who would stunt your growth. Because where God is leading you, not everyone is meant to go. In hidden seasons, God often examines your heart. He examines your motives. He examines your intentions. He examines whether you seek applause or seek Him. He examines whether you trust your surroundings or trust His word. These tests are not designed to weaken you, but to fortify you. A blessing that arrives without preparation becomes a burden. A position without character becomes a snare. A breakthrough without wisdom becomes a disorder. God prepares what He gives, and He prepares the one to whom He gives it. For your blessing to lift your life and not unravel your stability, He must refine you until you are able to stand in the fullness of what He releases. You may not yet see the shift taking place, but your spirit senses the stirring. Something inside you knows this chapter is not the conclusion. You can feel that something is building, forming, aligning, and arranging behind the curtain. That is the whisper of destiny. That is the pull of purpose. That is the sign your private season is not permanent. It is transitional. God does not leave you in preparation endlessly. He keeps you there until the work is done, until the lesson is absorbed, until the strength is formed. Once the shaping is complete, the revealing comes. And when God unveils what He has crafted for you, it will not be subtle. It will not be small. It will not be quiet. It will be a blessing that boldly testifies of His power. It will be a moment that shifts the atmosphere around you. It will be an opportunity no person can hinder. It will be a breakthrough that makes every tear worthwhile. It will be a favor that reaches into places you never imagined touching. But you must endure the private season. You must trust the invisible work. You must hold steady when nothing adds up. What God is designing for you is too significant to be built quickly. It requires depth. It requires patience. It requires trust. There are days when you feel exhausted from waiting. Days when you grow tired of believing for something you cannot see. Days when you question whether your prayers are moving anything, but do not give up. Private preparation often feels like fighting shadows. But with every day you persist, you grow. Every day you stay faithful. The bond between you and God strengthens. Every day you choose hope over despair. Your spirit becomes stronger. God sees the days when you push through your weariness. God sees the nights when your tears fall quietly. God sees the moments when you hide disappointment behind courage. These moments are never unseen by Him. They are remembered, they are measured, and they are woven into your future. Your private tears will become a public testimony. Your quiet sacrifices will lead to visible elevation. Your hidden obedience will bring undeniable blessing. Nothing you have done in faith slips from His memory. Nothing you have endured in silence goes to waste. God develops you in the secret place so He can honor you in the open. And when that moment comes, others will witness God's hand on your life. There comes a moment in your private season when God begins to uncover strengths you never knew were within you. You start to realize you can endure more than you believe. You can rise after setbacks that once would have broken you. You can keep your spirit steady, even when life around you shakes. This is not random growth. This is purposeful training. God is building a core inside you that will not be moved by opinions, adversity, or unexpected storms. Before God promotes someone publicly, He stabilizes them privately. He ensures that when the spotlight comes, the pressure of visibility does not crush them. What you face right now is forming the endurance needed for the blessing you will eventually carry. There are moments when God draws you back not because you failed, but because He is tightening the tension for a greater release. You may feel pushed into obscurity, removed from opportunities, or slowed down from the pace you hoped for. But remember, an archer pulls the arrow back before sending it forward. God is drawing you back so He can propel you farther than you imagine. That pull may feel uncomfortable. It may feel confusing. It may feel like lost momentum. But you are being aligned for acceleration, not decline. God never pulls you backward without the purpose of launching you into something greater. In the stillness, God often reveals the lies you unknowingly believed about yourself. Lies birthed from childhood wounds. Lies shaped by disappointments. Lies planted by voices that never recognized your value. God brings these lies to the surface so you can confront them in the private season. He teaches you that your identity comes from Him alone, not from where you failed, not from your past, not from those who minimized you, not from the mistakes you regret. You are not defined by the places you fell. You are defined by the One who is lifting you. God is stripping away old labels so you can step into your true identity without fear. You cannot enter a public blessing while wearing chains of outdated expectation. God breaks those chains in private so you can walk freely in public. Some of the most defining moments of your life occur when God allows you to face challenges without immediate rescue. Not because He is far away, but because He is strengthening the spiritual muscles needed for your future. If God intervened too quickly, you would cling to relief rather than transformation. If He stepped in instantly, you would celebrate the escape instead of embracing the lesson. God lets you wrestle so your spirit becomes unshakable. He allows pressure so your faith grows stronger. He permits you to stand in the fire so the impurities fall away and only strength remains. God is not trying to break you. He is revealing how strong you already are. When His hand rests on your life, there are seasons when your prayers seem to echo without reply. You speak, yet it feels as though nothing answers. You cry out, but it seems nothing shifts. This silence is not the silence of abandonment. It is the silence of watching and preparing. God pays attention to how you move when His presence feels far. He observes how you walk when the way forward is unclear. He notices how you trust when tomorrow feels uncertain. These quiet seasons expose the depth of your faith in ways victories never could. Anyone can trust God when life aligns smoothly. But those who cling to Him in the darkness are the ones He elevates into the light. Your private season is also the place where God gives you divine clarity. Clarity that separates what you desire from what you truly need. Clarity that distinguishes your wants from your calling. Clarity that reveals what propels your purpose and what pulls you away from it. God often quiets the noise to highlight the truth. Things you once chased lose their appeal. Relationships you once held tightly become easier to release. Longer match the person God is shaping you to become. This shift in appetite is evidence that your spirit is maturing. God is aligning your desires with your destiny. In the choir, God trains your ears to hear His direction, not through dramatic signs, but through the gentle nudging of your spirit. You begin to sense what aligns and what does not. You learn to discern when an opportunity is divine and when it is merely a distraction. You start walking with a spiritual confidence that does not depend on human validation. This discernment is cultivated in solitude. Others may not understand the choices you make in this season. They may question your decisions. They may misunderstand your path. But trust what God is awakening within you. He speaks in ways the world cannot interpret. Another purpose of private seasons is to uncover potential you never realized was there. God often allows situations that require you to tap into new courage, new strength, new creativity, and new endurance. You may feel underqualified. You may feel underprepared. But God delights in drawing out hidden gifts through circumstances that demand them. He shows you that you are more capable than you imagine. You begin to see that limitations are illusions. The walls you feared are breakable. When God ushers you into your public blessing, He wants you to stand knowing the power already inside you, not questioning whether you belong. In life, there are moments when God reduces your support system until it feels like you're standing alone. Not because He desires isolation, but because He wants you anchored in Him before surrounding you with others. If you depend more on people than on God, your foundation becomes unstable. Private seasons strip away false supports. You learn to pray in new ways. You learn to think with greater clarity. You learn to see with sharper vision. You learn to trust with deeper conviction. And by the time God places the right people around you, you won't cling to them out of fear. You will walk with them with purpose. Sometimes the greatest work God accomplishes in your life is the work no one is aware of. He repairs the fractured places within you. He heals disappointments you buried long ago. He restores hope you thought had disappeared forever. He strengthens areas where weakness once ruled. He softens what hardship once hardened. He rebuilds what pain once tore down. You may not notice these changes at first, but they are unfolding beneath the surface. And when the moment comes for God to bless you openly, those inner transformations will radiate through everything you touch. You may not Understand why your journey has taken this direction. You may not understand why it required so much time. You may not understand why God allowed certain seasons to unfold. But one day when the blessing appears, the clarity will rise, the tears will make sense, the waiting will make sense, the solitude will make sense, the losses will make sense. God is never random. God is purposeful. God is precise. Every season holds meaning. Every step is intentionally placed. And when God unveils what he has crafted, your life will carry a depth that human strength could never produce. People will witness the blessing, but they will never fully grasp the preparation behind it. They will admire the promotion, but they won't see the nights you fought to protect your hope. They will cheer for your breakthrough, but they won't know the silent battles you endured. That is why your private season is essential. It is the place where God lays the groundwork for what is coming. A moment arrives when you must choose between living by the expectations of others or embracing the destiny God has been shaping inside you. This is that turning point. This is the time when you look within and acknowledge the truth that God has been preparing you for something far beyond the life you settled for. The private battles you fought were not evidence of weakness. They were evidence of purpose. The quiet years were not empty. They were holy. Every prayer whispered in the dark. Every tear shed in isolation. Every decision to remain faithful when quitting would have been easier has been gathered by God and woven into the strength of your future. Now God is awakening your spirit to stand taller, walk deeper, and believe more boldly than ever before. If your private season has taught you anything, it is that God has never walked away from you. Even when you felt unseen, his hand still carried you. Even when you questioned your value, his presence reminded you that you were chosen. Even when you doubted your direction, his guidance kept nudging you ahead. Be nearer to you in your quiet places than people have ever been in your loudest moments. And now he is calling you to trust him with a confidence that cannot be shaken loose. Trust him even when clarity is missing. Trust him even when the road feels tight. Trust him even when your past tries to rise again. Trust him because every lesson, every setback, and every quiet victory has been leading you toward the life he crafted for you. You may not feel ready, but God would not have invested this deeply in your growth if you were meant to remain where you are. He allowed the stretching because he knew you could bear it. He allowed the loneliness because he knew it would mature you. He allowed the refining because he knew your future required depth, vision, and resilience. What God has placed inside you is not fragile. It is not fleeting. It is not accidental. It is divine. And divine purpose cannot be bound by fear. It cannot be muted by doubt. It cannot be halted by delay. You carry something consecrated by the hand of God. And now it is time to honor that assignment with courage. So I challenge you today. Look at your life with fresh clarity. Ask yourself where fear has caused you to retreat. Ask yourself where you accepted less than the purpose God planted within you. Ask yourself where discouragement has overtaken your determination. And then choose today to reclaim your faith with boldness. Choose to rise with intention. Choose to move forward with a heart fully surrendered to God's direction. You have been strengthened in silence to stand with power. Do not retreat from the life God is calling you to create. Do not allow past failures to block new victories. Do not let the voices of doubt overpower the whisper of destiny. Something powerful is unfolding in your life right now. Even if you can't yet put words to it, there is movement beneath the surface of your days. A divine stirring you may not clearly see. But God is arranging a transformation so deep, so life-altering that when it finally arrives, you will look back and realize every delay, every disappointment, every silent season, and every tear carried purpose. There comes a moment in every life when God begins shifting things beyond what the natural eye can see. And many miss it because they watch the surface instead of trusting what God is shaping underneath. But today I speak with bold assurance that God is orchestrating a shift in your life unlike anything you have ever known, guided by intention, precision, and unstoppable power. There are times when God steps into ordinary situations and turns them into extraordinary turning points. These moments rarely come in seasons of comfort or certainty. They arrive when the ground beneath you feels unsteady, when you feel stretched, refined, and tested beyond what feels familiar. They come when everything seems to be changing and nothing appears to make sense. These are the moments when God quietly speaks to your spirit and reminds you that what you are experiencing is not the end. It is preparation. You are not being forgotten. You are being positioned, and the shift God is preparing will not only move you forward, it will lift you to a higher place. Sometimes God allows your surroundings to feel unstable because He is laying a stronger foundation beneath you. He permits certain connections to fade because they cannot walk with you into the next chapter. He closes doors because He knows you would otherwise settle for less than what He has prepared. He allows the shaking because without it you would remain stuck where you are. But God is not a God of stillness. He is a God of forward motion, growth, transformation, and perfect timing. And when God declares that it is your season to rise, no power on earth can hold you back. You may feel uneasy right now. You may feel pulled in unexpected directions. You may feel stretched beyond your comfort zone. But these are the signs of divine realignment at work. When God prepares a major shift, the first thing He disturbs is what has become too familiar, not to harm you, but to awaken you, not to weaken you, but to strengthen you, not to break you, but to build within you the capacity to carry the next blessing. God never wastes discomfort. He never wastes darkness. He never wastes your tears. Every moment is woven into His greater design, and every detail is shaping the shift that is coming. There are seasons when God quiets the noise around you so you can hear His direction more clearly. He removes distractions, disrupts routines, and places you in positions where your dependence on Him must grow deeper than ever before. You may not enjoy those seasons, but they are essential. Because great shifts demand great faith, and faith is never fully formed in comfort. Faith is forged in the places where tension stretches you. Faith is strengthened when the road ahead is hidden, yet you trust the one who leads your steps. Faith is deepened when everything appears motionless, but you know God is still moving behind the scenes. Faith is nurtured when you choose to believe that the invisible carries more weight than what your eyes can witness. You are standing at the threshold of a divine transformation. This change is not minor. not fleeting and not intended for anyone else. It is appointed specifically for you. This shift is connected to your tears, your prayers, your sacrifices, and every moment of preparation. Many desire the transformation but resist the process that prepares it. But you withstood what others escaped. You stayed when others walked away. You believed when others doubted. And because of that, God is orchestrating something in your life that will make every waiting season worth it. There are blessings that only rise after breaking. There are breakthroughs that reveal themselves only after long endurance. There are answers that emerge only after extended silence. And there are shifts that unfold the moment you reach the place where you say, God, I surrender everything into your hands. When you release control, God steps in. When you stop leaning on your own strength, God fights battles on your behalf. When you cease trying to manage every detail, God finishes the picture. And what he is painting now exceeds anything you've imagined. God is setting the stage for your shift. He is working in spaces you cannot see. He is moving in the minds of people who will open new doors for you. He is preparing opportunities that will arrive suddenly. He is aligning events, conversations, and divine moments that will lift you into a greater realm of purpose. You might assume nothing is changing, but God is active. You may feel stuck, yet God is shifting the ground beneath you. You may feel unseen, but God is placing your name before the right people. God moves in silence before he moves suddenly. And often silence is the signal that something powerful is approaching. Do not mistake delay for denial. Do not mistake silence for abandonment. Do not mistake stillness for inactivity. God is never idle. God is never distant. God is never uninformed. God notices what you cannot notice. God understands what you cannot comprehend. And God is preparing what you never thought to expect. The shift coming your way will amaze you. It will uplift you. It will restore lost time. It will return what was taken. It will accelerate what once slowed you down. And it will draw your heart closer to God in a way you have never experienced. When God prepares the atmosphere for a shift, he removes what no longer serves your future. He lifts burdens that have become too heavy to carry. He takes away opportunities that fall beneath his purpose for you. He frees you from relationships that restricted your growth. He releases you from environments that suffocate your potential. You may see what has fallen apart and think you've lost something valuable, but God saw what you could not. God saw the intentions. God saw the limits. God saw the hidden threats. God saw what was ahead. And God said, not this, not now, not them. I have something far greater prepared. The shift God is designing will require you to trust him on a deeper, stronger level. You cannot drag old fears into a new season. You cannot carry past disappointments into a divine assignment. You cannot hold on to bitterness while stepping into a breakthrough. God wants your heart purified, your spirit open, and your faith unwavering. Because when he moves, you must be ready to respond. God does not prepare a shift for those clinging to yesterday. He prepares it for those who walk with expectation, for those who believe their greatest days are in front of them, not behind. Some of you wonder why the path has been so heavy. Why did every step feel like resistance? Why did every prayer feel like warfare? Why every hope seems slow to unfold? The answer is simple. God is preparing you for something weighted, something intentional, something that will influence far more than just your own life. When a shift is divine, it impacts everyone connected to you. God is not only lifting you, He is elevating what flows out of you, your influence, your purpose, your legacy. That is why the preparation felt intense, because the shift will be extraordinary. God is arranging things so carefully that when the shift arrives, the only explanation will be His power, not your network, not your effort, not your intelligence, not your resume. God intends it to be undeniable, that what is about to take place in your life could only have been orchestrated by Him. When God authors a story, He writes it in such a way that human credit is removed, so people will declare this had to be God's work. That is exactly what is heading toward you. A shift so supernatural in its unfolding that everyone around you will recognize God's hand on your life. You will witness doors opening that you never knocked on. You will see opportunities appear that you never pursued. You will encounter favor in places where you once felt unseen. You will receive answers you stopped praying for. You will watch solutions rise from places you never expected. Healing will flow where pain once lived. Clarity will replace confusion. Strength will rise where fear once ruled. This shift will not arrive through your striving, but through God's perfect timing. You may feel worn from the waiting. You may feel tired from the battles, but do not quit. The shift is standing at your doorstep. God has not finished His work in your life. God is still writing your story. God has not overlooked your faithfulness. God has not forgotten your tears. God has not dismissed a single prayer. Every moment you endured has been woven into His plan. And when God gathers something, He never returns it empty. He transforms it. He multiplies it. He raises it higher. Your life is about to enter a moment where everything finally comes together. The closed doors will one day make perfect sense. The delays will come into focus. The disappointments will be understood. The struggles will be clarified, because the shift will reveal that God was preparing something far greater than what you ever hoped for. God was not saying no. God was saying, wait until you see what I have prepared for you. There is always a calm before a divine movement. A stillness that stretches your faith, a silence that measures your trust. If you find yourself in that calm, do not be afraid of it. When God is about to shift your life, the enemy often rises with doubt, fear, and discouragement. He tries to make you question your worth, your direction, and whether God will truly fulfill His word. But the very presence of warfare, evidence that something powerful is approaching. The enemy does not fight empty ground. He fights where destiny is close. So stand your ground, guard your faith, strengthen your inner man. Refuse to bend to fear. Refuse to be shaken by delay. Refuse to allow circumstances to speak louder than the promises God planted in your heart. You were not created to quit. You were not designed to collapse under pressure. You were formed by God to rise, and rise you will. This shift will lead you into rooms you once only dreamed of. It will place you before people you once admired from afar. It will open paths you once believed were unreachable. It will ease battles that once felt endless. It will exchange sorrow for joy and confusion for clarity. God is not releasing an ordinary shift over your life. God is releasing a defining shift. You will recognize it when it begins. Something within you will awaken. Your spirit will stand stronger. Your choices will grow bolder. Your vision will sharpen. Your confidence will expand. Your fear will fade. You will move with an assurance that does not come from circumstance, but from God Himself. This shift will not come because you are flawless. It will come because God is faithful. It will not come because you have everything figured out. It will come because God knows exactly what He is doing. It will not come by your strength. It will come because God has chosen this moment to move in your life. So prepare your heart, your mind, and your spirit, because when God sets the stage, the outcome is already secured. When God sets the stage, no one can interrupt it. When God sets the stage, no weapon formed against you will succeed. When God sets the stage, obstacles turn into pathways and struggles become testimonies. You are stepping into a chapter that will transform your life. God's favor will surround you. God's direction will lead you. God's hand will lift you. And everything that once worked against you will now work for your good. Hold tightly to your faith. Stay expectant. Walk with courage because God is preparing the stage for your greatest shift. And nothing will stop what He has ordained for your life. There are times in life when the human heart stands between what has been and what is about to be revealed. And right now, you are standing in that narrow and sacred space. It is the place where God speaks directly to your spirit and reminds you that the next chapter of your life will look nothing like the chapters behind you. When God prepares a major shift, He does not simply open a door. He changes the entire atmosphere. He rearranges the environment. He turns the soil of your life so that something greater can take root. And the reason this shift will feel unlike anything you have ever known is because God has waited for the precise moment when your character, your endurance, and your spiritual awareness are strong enough to carry what He is about to release. Many people long for elevation without embracing transformation, but God never builds on a fragile foundation. When God prepares a shift, He begins by strengthening your inner flame. He teaches you how to stand firm when the winds are fierce. He teaches you how to remain steady when others misunderstand your path. He teaches you how to stay anchored when uncertainty rises all around you. Shifts are not formed through convenience. Shifts are built through spiritual stability. And you have been in a season where God has been establishing that stability inside you, even when you did not recognize it. Every time you chose patience instead of panic. Every time you chose faith instead of fear. Every time you chose prayer instead of frustration. God was shaping you for what lies ahead. There is a reason God does not reveal everything all at once. If He showed you the full weight of the blessing too soon, it might overwhelm you. If He revealed the depth of your future influence too early, you might begin to doubt your worth. If He uncovered the entire path before you were ready, you might retreat instead of rise. God knows how to release revelation in stages so your spirit can grow into the capacity required for the shift. What feels like uncertainty is actually God shielding you from premature exposure. What seems like unanswered questions is truly God preparing you for the clarity that will come at the appointed time. You are being prepared to carry something greater than your past has ever held, and God is expanding your inner strength to match the weight of the blessing. Some shifts require God to enlarge your thinking. Some require Him to refine your attitude. Some require Him to deepen your patience. Some require Him to remove the fear of other people's opinions. But every refinement carries purpose. God is clearing away everything that could sabotage the magnitude of what He is preparing to release in your life. There is a distinct boldness that begins to rise in a person when God is preparing a shift. You start to feel a quiet confidence you cannot fully explain. You begin to let go of things that once drained your energy. You learn to see through distractions that used to pull you away from your calling. You start to notice that certain habits no longer fit your spirit, and you find yourself drawn towards silence, reflection, prayer, and a deeper connection with God. This is not coincidence. This is divine alignment. God is fine-tuning your heart to His frequency, so that when He speaks, you will recognize His voice with clarity. Some of the shifts God is preparing will require you to step away from what feels familiar, not because what was familiar was wrong, but because its season has been fulfilled. There are blessings that only arrive when you loosen your grip on what you have already outgrown. God is not trying to take from you. God is repositioning you. And every time He removes something from your hands, it is because He is creating space for something greater. The struggle is that many people cling to what feels safe out of fear, that nothing better is coming. But when God is involved, what comes next is always greater, always higher, always richer, always deeper. One of the clearest signs that God is preparing a shift is when He gives you a holy dissatisfaction. You wake up and the things that once satisfied you no longer bring peace. The spaces that once felt right begin to feel restricted. The friendships you once leaned on slowly begin to fade. The routines you once followed start to feel empty. This is not a sign of failure or loss. This is God letting you know there is more ahead. And when God whispers more, it is because the next chapter of your life requires new room. God is the one who places the desire for growth inside your heart. He plants the hunger for expansion within your spirit. He deposits anticipation deep within you. And when God stirs anticipation inside you, it means the destination has already been prepared. God never awakens a desire without arranging its fulfillment. He never stirs a longing without creating a path to meet it. If your spirit feels restless, it is because your future is calling, and that call is the signal that your shift is drawing near. You must understand that every shift God prepares is intentional. Nothing about this next move will be random. It will not be driven by luck. It will not be shaped by chance. It will not be controlled by human approval. When God shifts your life, He aligns circumstances no human could orchestrate. He sends help from places you never expected. He connects you with people you would have never crossed paths with. He closes doors you were never meant to enter. He opens pathways you didn't even know existed. God's timing is perfect. And when your shift arrives, it will unfold with such precision that you will know without question that he was behind it. But God also requires something from you. He asks you to trust the process, even when it feels uncomfortable. He asks you to release fear, even when the outcome is unclear. He asks you to move forward, even when your strength feels weak. Shifts demand courage. Shifts demand faith. Shifts demand the surrender of the need to understand everything before you move. You do not have to fully understand God's plan for it to work. You only need to trust that He is guiding you exactly where you need to be. And some of you right now are in the middle of a divine stretch. God is enlarging your capacity for what's ahead. He is stretching your faith beyond its old borders. He is drawing you into a deeper realm of spiritual maturity. It may feel uncomfortable now, but this is the very process that prepares you for elevation. Blessings do not rest on hardened or unready soil. They fall on hearts that have been softened, shaped, humbled, and strengthened through the flames of refinement. God is not trying to crush you. He is reinforcing the strength He already placed within you. He is uncovering resilience you never realized you carried. He is awakening courage that had been buried beneath disappointment. He is stirring a purpose that once felt forgotten. You cannot walk into a divine shift while holding the mindset of your past. God must renew the patterns of your thoughts. He must pull up the self-doubt that whispers you are unworthy. He must remove the insecurity that insists you're lacking. He must silence the fear that tries to persuade you that failure is inevitable. God is replacing every falsehood with truth. He is reminding you of your God-given worth. He is reminding you that your life was crafted with intention. He is reminding you that your value is not determined by people, accomplishments, or circumstances, but by the fact that God Himself authored your purpose before you ever took your first breath. When God shifts your life, He shifts your identity as well. Begin seeing yourself, not as someone barely surviving, but as someone chosen for significance. You begin recognizing your voice as influential. You begin viewing your presence as meaningful. You begin understanding that your life carries divine importance. And as your identity transforms, your decisions evolve, your standards rise, your boundaries strengthen, and your focus sharpen. You begin guarding your peace with conviction. You protect your spirit because you understand that what God is entrusting to you cannot be treated casually. This next shift will require intentional movement. God will open doors so weighty that you cannot enter them with scattered thinking. He will bring opportunities so meaningful that they demand clarity and readiness. He will place you in rooms where your voice will shift conversations, where your insight will matter, where your presence will shape outcomes, and you must be prepared for it. This is why your preparation season has felt intense. God never places unprepared people into positions of divine responsibility. Shift will also usher in spiritual clarity. You will begin recognizing the difference between what is temporary and what is eternal. You will withdraw energy from pathways that no longer align with your calling. You will stop nurturing relationships that diminish your spirit. You will release the need for validation from people who cannot contribute to your growth. God is teaching you the art of discernment. Discernment is essential in seasons of transition. Without it, you may confuse distractions for opportunities. With it, You will clearly identify the doors God has opened and the ones designed to mislead you. And now God is preparing to surround you with people who elevate your vision, who speak life into your potential, who believe in the calling on your name, who support your purpose, and who challenge you to rise higher than before. Some connections are not ordinary. They are divine assignments sent to help you carry the weight of your destiny. And when God places these people in your life, you will recognize the difference almost immediately. There will be peace instead of pressure, clarity instead of confusion, and mutual strength instead of exhaustion. These relationships will not drain your spirit. They will build you up. This shift will also transform the way you speak. You will begin declaring words with authority instead of hesitation. You will start speaking as someone who knows God is standing with them. Your voice will carry weight because it will be rooted in trust. You will no longer speak from fear but from expectation. You will no longer speak from insecurity but from confidence. Your language will shift from survival to destiny. You will start saying, I am ready instead of I am afraid. You will begin declaring, I am equipped instead of I am unqualified. You will say, God is working instead of I am uncertain. And as your words transform, your actions will follow. You will move with purpose instead of hesitation. You will make decisions with confidence instead of doubt. You will take steps that once intimidated you. You will pursue opportunities you once believed were beyond your reach. Because when God prepares a shift, He also prepares the boldness to step into it. You must also prepare your heart for unexpected blessings. God is about to release things into your life that you never anticipated. Answers that were delayed will suddenly appear. Doors that once remained shut will abruptly open. Battles you have fought for years will come to an end without warning. God is a God of sudden moments, and those sudden moments often arrive right after the season where the pressure felt overwhelming. If your life has felt heavy lately, it is because the shift is close. Pressure always rises before breakthrough. Resistance always intensifies before release. Dark nights always deepen before the sunrise. And right now, the dawn of your shift is drawing near. God is setting the stage with divine precision. He is aligning timing, events, people, resources, and opportunities in ways that will leave you in awe. And when it unfolds, you will not question whether it was real. You will know without a doubt that God Himself authored this chapter. So lift your head, stand strong in your spirit, keep your heart open, remain expectant, because God is not just preparing a shift, He is preparing the greatest shift you have ever experienced. A shift that will change your life from the inside out. A shift that will redefine your identity. A shift that will lift your spirit, sharpen your purpose, strengthen your faith, and expand your future. Keep moving forward, trusting. Keep believing. God is not finished. He is only beginning what He is about to release into your life. There are seasons when God prepares you by unsettling everything around you, not to harm you, but to loosen your grip on what can no longer take you where He is leading. If the ground beneath you has been shaken, if routines have been disrupted, if relationships have shifted, if doors have closed without explanation, it is not because your life is falling apart. It is because God is removing every anchor that would keep you tied to a chapter that can no longer carry your destiny. God will sometimes allow restlessness to rise in the very places that once gave you comfort, so you will not settle where He has called you to ascend. When God is ready to shift your life, He disrupts anything that stands in the way of the next level of your purpose. That is why you cannot measure this coming move by what your natural eyes can see. You must measure it by what God is awakening within your spirit. The shift begins long before the blessing ever appears on the surface. It starts when your heart awakens and realizes you were created for more. It begins when your mind starts dismantling the old limits that once confined you. It begins when your spirit refuses to accept mere survival as your destiny. God always speaks to your inner world first, because the outer world cannot transform until the inner world is ready. That quiet stirring you feel, that surge of strength you cannot explain, that gentle pull towards something greater. These are the fingerprints of God preparing you for a new dimension of living. And the reason this shift requires such a deep inner transformation is because God is not simply changing your situation. He is enlarging your capacity. You are not being prepared for a small win or a temporary blessing. You are being trained for lasting elevation. This demands a different spirit, a renewed way of thinking, and a stronger heart. God cannot pour a new blessing into an old container. He must rebuild the vessel. He must stretch it. He must fortify it. The increase He is preparing to release requires a stronger foundation than the one you have known before. At times, God will even allow you to face moments where your own strength runs out, because it is in those moments that you discover the power of fully trusting Him. You learn that peace is not the absence of trials, but the presence of God in the middle of them. You learn that strength is not found in control, but in surrender. You learn that progress does not come from forcing the journey, but from aligning your steps with what God is quietly directing within you. These lessons are not designed to destroy you. They are designed to qualify you for the shift you have been praying for. And understand this clearly. God never calls you into something greater without first placing a divine urgency within your spirit. That urgency pushes you to release habits that no longer serve your future. It presses you to separate from environments that drain your calling. It challenges you to elevate your thinking beyond what others expect of you. When God is preparing you for more, He will not allow you to remain comfortable where you are. He will nudge your heart. He will whisper to your spirit. He will drop ideas into your mind that seem bigger than your current reality. That is not imagination. That is God planting the seeds of your future into the soil of your present. There will be moments when the shift feels slow, moments when you wonder if anything is changing at all, but God performs His deepest work in silence. When you cannot see movement, He is rearranging things behind the curtain. When you cannot feel progress, He is orchestrating connections that will unlock doors at the appointed time. When you feel unseen, God is actually preparing a place for you that no one else can occupy. God moves with purpose, not haste. And when He declares that it is time for manifestation, the shift will unfold so suddenly that you will look back in awe at how quickly everything changed. That is why patience is not weakness. It is a spiritual discipline. Patience keeps you aligned with God when your emotions try to race ahead of His timing. Patience guards your heart from settling for something smaller than what God is preparing. Patience teaches you that waiting is not wasting. Every season you endure with faith becomes training for the moment God releases what He promised. And when the promise finally arrives, you will understand why the wait was necessary, why the resistance mattered, and why the growth could not be rushed. The shift God is preparing in your life will also demand courage. Not the courage that pretends fear does not exist, but the courage that rises even while fear tries to grip your heart. Courage does not mean you always feel strong. Courage means you keep moving even when you feel exposed. Courage means trusting God more than trusting your comfort. Some of the greatest breakthroughs you will ever experience exist on the other side of decisions that once felt dangerous. But when God is leading you, the risk becomes the pathway to destiny. And make no mistake, God will confirm the shift. He will send signs that speak directly to your spirit. He will align circumstances that clearly reveal His hand. He will release clarity where confusion once lived. You will hear the right words at the right moment. You will feel peace where fear once ruled. You will sense certainty where doubt once grew. God knows exactly how to communicate with you in a way only your heart can interpret when He is preparing your shift. He will not leave you confused in the dark. You may also notice that certain battles intensify just before your breakthrough. This is not proof that things are collapsing. It is proof that resistance is making its final attempt to stop your progress. The enemy always fights hardest right before the blessing breaks through, but pressure cannot overpower God's purpose. Weight cannot cancel God's will. Opposition cannot interrupt the shift that God has already ordained over your life. When God decrees a shift, nothing can override it. And as God prepares you for this new level, He also sees the way you see yourself. For too long, some of you have allowed your past mistakes, old wounds, and other people's limits to define who you are. But God is lifting those shadows from your identity. He is restoring your true sense of self. You are not who people labeled you. You are not what your failures tried to name you. You are not the product of your darkest chapters. You are who God says you are. And God never defines His people by where they have been. He defines them by where He is taking them. When you begin to see yourself through the lens of purpose, everything begins to change. You stop apologizing for the strength God placed inside you. You no longer shrink yourself just to make others feel at ease. You stop questioning the worth of your voice. You refuse to dim your light simply because others are uncomfortable with its brightness. God did not form you to remain hidden in the shadows. He created you to rise, to walk in influence, to stand with dignity, and to leave an impact on the world around you. The shift you are entering will require you to fully embrace the weight of your true identity. You may feel unprepared for what God is calling you into. You may feel inexperienced, wounded, or uncertain. But God does not select based on credentials. God chooses based on potential. He chooses based on willingness. He chooses based on the posture of the heart. If God sees your willingness, He will provide the equipment. If He sees your humility, He will lift you higher. If He sees your faithfulness, He will multiply what you carry. God has always taken ordinary people and entrusted them with extraordinary assignments because He knew what He planted inside them long before they ever recognized it themselves. This shift will also require you to guard your peace. Not everyone is meant to walk into the next season with you. Not everyone will understand the transformation taking place within you. Not everyone will celebrate the changes God is stirring in your spirit. And that is perfectly acceptable. Your assignment is not to persuade people. Your assignment is to obey God as He elevates you. You must learn to shield your heart from voices that plant doubt and confusion. You must learn to step away from those who drain your strength. You must learn to move quietly when God instructs you to. At times, elevation requires isolation, not as punishment but as preparation. And in that sacred stillness, God will pour revelation into your spirit. He will reveal strategies you never considered. He will release insight that reshapes your perspective. He will uncover truths that were hidden by the noise of your past. When God prepares a shift, He does more than change your environment. He enlightens your understanding. He sharpens your discernment. He heightens your sensitivity to His direction. What once confused you will suddenly become clear. What once discouraged you will begin to motivate you. What once burdened your heart will no longer steal your peace. As God unfolds this new chapter, you will sense a strength rising within you that does not match your circumstances. You will feel hope where heaviness once lived. You will feel clarity where doubt once reigned. You will feel faith where fear once ruled. This is the spiritual signal that you are stepping into new territory. God always strengthens the spirit before He transforms life. That inner empowerment is the proof that change is not only coming, it has already begun. So keep your heart open. Keep your mind steady. Keep your spirit alert with expectation. What God is preparing for you is not small. It is not common. It is not temporary. It is weighty. It is lasting. It is transformative. It is a divine shift designed long before you ever knew to pray for it. God has been directing your steps, aligning your direction, and shaping your spirit for the elevation that is now approaching. And when that moment arrives, you will step into it with confidence, courage, and sharp clarity, fully aware that God Himself has arranged every detail leading to this turning point in your life. When you reach this season, when the weight of your questions feels heavier than the ground beneath your feet, I want you to pause, take a breath, and recognize something holy. You are standing on the edge of a divine turning point. God has been working behind the veil in ways you cannot yet perceive. God has been shifting pieces, rerouting paths, closing doors that were beneath your calling, and preparing a shift that will shake the very framework of your understanding. And right now, God is calling you to rise. This is the moment when your soul must awaken with fresh fire. This is the moment when your faith must stretch beyond what feels safe, beyond what feels safe, beyond what feels predictable, and embrace the truth that God has already written victory into your story. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into alignment. And the God who shaped the heavens is shaping you for something greater than anything your past has ever revealed. So I urge you now from the depths of your spirit, stop retreating from what God is trying to bring forth through you. Stop allowing fear to persuade you that you are unworthy of the blessing God designed for your life. Stop letting worry blind you to the truth that God has never failed a single person who trusted in Him. Look at your life with clear vision. Reflect on the roads you have walked. Consider the storms you have survived. You are still here, you are still breathing, you are still standing. And that alone is undeniable proof that God's hand has never left you. If God intended for you to be defeated, it would have already happened. If God wanted your story to end, it would have ended long ago. But you are still here because God is not finished with you. You are still here because God is setting the stage for your greatest shift. Let this truth settle deeply within your spirit. Your life is about to change in ways you cannot yet imagine. But that change will not unfold unless you choose to walk with God in complete surrender. God cannot shift a life that resists His touch. God cannot lift a soul that clings to what He is trying to remove. God cannot open new doors for a heart that refuses to release old paths. So as you take your next step, let it be a step of faith, a step of courage, a step of obedience. Let your life reflect someone who trusts God, even when you cannot trace His hand. Let your decisions reflect someone who believes that God is wiser than your understanding and stronger than your fears. Let your heart beat with the confidence that God is guiding you into a new season. And understand this. Your responsibility is to move with Him, not against Him. Lift your eyes, fortify your spirit, and clear space within your heart for what God is about to release. Because the shift God is bringing is not small in any way. It is not common. It is not a quiet whisper of blessing. It is a powerful wave. It is a breakthrough that will silence the doubts that once haunted you. It is a healing that will close wounds you believed would never fully recover. It is a restoration that will make you forget how shattered things once seemed. And if you desire to receive it, you must align yourself with God. In thought, in speech, in action, and in intention. Step into each day with reverence, with expectation, and with discipline. Live like someone who knows God is preparing them for something sacred and weighty. Let your prayers rise from a deeper well within you. Let your faith grow roots so deep that nothing can uproot them. And now as you stand on the edge of this divine shift, hear this with your entire heart. God is not demanding perfection from you. God is asking for willingness, willingness to change, willingness to grow, willingness to release what no longer honors Him, willingness to trust even when your understanding feels limited. Willingness to move forward, even when the road ahead is still unclear. God works through willing hearts, surrendered minds, and humble spirits. And when you choose to walk with God instead of your fears, the shift you have been waiting for will come, not because of your strength, but because of God's power. Not because of your strategy, but because of God's purpose. So take this moment with seriousness. Examine your life. Confront what needs to change. Acknowledge what God has been urging you to release. Face the habits, the distractions, the attitudes, and the compromises that have kept you stagnant. Do not treat this moment as if God is speaking casually. God is calling you to rise higher. Let me begin by sharing something that will stir your spirit in a way you cannot dismiss. When God declares that your season is ready to change, nothing you see, nothing you fear, and nothing that has ever resisted you can remain the same. You may feel the weight, you may feel the strain, You may feel pushed to the edge, but what you cannot yet perceive is that God is already arranging a miracle that will reach you so completely, so unexpectedly, and so powerfully that your life will never look the same afterward. You are closer to a breakthrough than you have ever believed possible. And the very fact that you are hearing these words right now is evidence that God has positioned you on the edge of something remarkable. When God chooses to move, he does not ask permission from your past, your mistakes, your worries, or your opposition. When God moves, everything around you must realign. There are moments in life when God draws near in ways you cannot explain yet you can deeply sense. Your heart becomes restless, not with fear, but with a quiet awakening inside your spirit. Something tells you that what you are facing is not the end, but the setup. Whispers that the tension you feel is not meant to crush you, but to position you. Something within you confirms that God has already spoken the blessing, and nothing in this world or beyond it can cancel what he has declared. This is one of those moments. This is the season when God is pulling you out of what once confined you and preparing to bring you into what he already promised. And when God pushes you forward, you cannot remain where you were. You may be standing today in a place where everything feels restricted. Doors you believed would open, stayed shut. People you trusted pulled back. Plans you thought were solid came apart. But listen carefully. This is not the collapse you think it is. This is the tightening before the release. This is the strain before the breakthrough. This is the final stretch before God sends a miracle so swift that it brings clarity to everything that once confused you. God may allow you to be pressed, but he will never allow you to be destroyed. He may lead you through the valley, but he will never let the valley define you. And right now, God is shaping something for you that will exceed your expectations and silence every doubt you have ever carried. Sometimes God will allow you to reach the limit of your own strength, not because he wants you to fall, but because he wants you to recognize the difference between what you can achieve and what only he can accomplish. If everything in your life unfolded according to your plan, you would assume you built the blessing yourself. But when God guides you into a place where your strength is insufficient, your understanding is limited, your connections fall short, and your effort cannot carry you, he positions you for a miracle that leaves no question that only God could have done it. And God longs to do something in your life that carries no signature except his own. You may look at your journey and feel that too much time has passed, too many mistakes have piled up, too many obstacles have appeared, and too many opportunities have slipped through your hands. But God is not limited by the clock. He is not restrained by failure, and he is never delayed by detours. God operates on a level far beyond human reasoning. While you think you are being delayed, God knows you are being refined. While you believe you are being corrected, God knows you are being ready. What you name a setback, God names a divine arrangement. And the miracle on the way is one that will restore every wasted season, rebuild every shattered piece, and return everything that was lost in a greater measure than before. Blessing. God is about to release into your life that no person can prevent. When God chooses to elevate you, no one can force you down. When God decides to favor you, no one can obstruct it. When God opens a door, no one can seal it shut. When God appoints you for a miracle, no mistake in your past can cancel what He has spoken. God does not rewrite His plan because you stumbled. God does not revoke His promise because you hesitated. God does not abandon His purpose because you took a wrong turn. God is greater than your failures, stronger than your worries, and more faithful than your doubts. And when He determines the moment is right, He moves with accuracy, power, and purpose. You may not see it clearly, but you have been inside a divine process. God has been removing what could not travel with you into the next season. God has been silencing voices that would have divided your destiny. God has been closing doors that would have distracted your calling. God has been shaking relationships that were never meant to remain. God has been allowing discomfort to drive you out of places where you would have settled. And while you felt as though you were losing, heaven understood that you were being positioned. Every disappointment, every closed door, every betrayal, every delay became a tool in the hands of God. There are times when God allows everything familiar to fade, so that you are forced to depend on Him alone. He will let certain voices grow quiet. He will allow certain supports to collapse. He will permit certain plans to fall apart, not because He wants you to feel abandoned, but because He knows that as long as you trust in something else, you will never fully trust in Him. And when God is ready to release a major miracle, He places you in a position where the only explanation for your breakthrough will be God Himself. The reason your spirit feels unsettled is because God is shifting you. The reason you cannot shake the sense that something is drawing near is because God is preparing you. The reason you feel the pressure stretching you and moments of spiritual weight is because your life is standing on the edge of transformation. You are not trapped. You are not overlooked. And you are not being condemned. You are being carried toward a moment that was woven into your story long before you ever took your first breath. And no power in existence has the authority to overturn what God has spoken over your life. There are miracles God releases only after extended seasons of waiting, not because He is delayed, but because He is strengthening you to bear what He is preparing to place in your hands. Some blessings demand maturity. Some breakthroughs require endurance. Some miracles require a deeper level of faith. And God has allowed certain delays not to wound you, but to form you. You cannot sustain a miracle with a weak foundation. You cannot walk into purpose with a fragile spirit. So God has been shaping you, stretching you, strengthening you, and equipping you. And you are far more resilient now than you were a year ago, 5 years ago, even a decade ago. You are ready in ways you do not yet fully recognize. Pause for a moment and consider what you have already survived. Remember how many times you stood at the edge of collapse, yet somehow remained standing. Think about the nights when your heart felt heavy, but you rose the next morning with strength you did not expect. Reflect on the battles that should have shattered you, but instead refined you. Think about everything that tried to destroy you and failed. You were not preserved by chance. You were preserved by God. You were carried, covered, and protected. If God rescued you from what was behind you, He will not abandon you in what lies ahead. God does not begin what He does not intend to complete. You may not yet see clear signs of the miracle, but God often works in silence before he moves in power. The ground shifts before the blessing rises. The seed breaks before the vision emerges. The night deepens before the morning appears. And just because God has been quiet does not mean he has been inactive. God has been working behind the veil, arranging circumstances, aligning opportunities, and preparing breakthroughs far greater than anything you have imagined. You are nearer than you realize. If God revealed everything he is about to do, it would overwhelm you. Some of you are about to walk through open doors you never asked for. Some of you are about to step into opportunities you never chased. Some of you are about to receive blessings you never anticipated. Some of you are about to watch God restore what you believed was lost forever. Some of you are about to be lifted in ways that will leave others astonished. And it will not be because of your connections, your credentials, or your past. It will be because God has chosen this moment to release something significant into your life. There were people who counted you out, but God counted you in. There were opportunities that slipped away, but God is bringing greater ones. There were seasons that ended in pain, but God is preparing a brand new chapter. There were nights you wept in silence, but God gathered every tear. There were battles that drained you, but God strengthened you through every one of them. And nothing you have walked through has been wasted or overlooked. God never squanders pain, never ignores tears, and never allows storms to pass without purpose. Everything you carried shaped you. Everything that wounded you instructed you. Everything that tested you fortified you. And everything that once confused you is preparing to become clear. At times, God does not alter your situation immediately because he is reshaping you first. Not to weaken you, but to make you unshakable. Not to tear you down, but to restore you. Not to correct you through punishment, but to position you with precision. And the version of you emerging from this season is stronger, wiser, sharper, more resilient, more focused, more disciplined, and more aligned with the destiny placed within you. You are no longer the same person you were when the storm first rose. You are being refined into someone who can stand on higher ground without collapsing under the weight of the blessing. God is preparing to perform something so powerful in your life that even you will stand in wonder. You will ask, how did this change happen so fast? How did this door suddenly open? How did this opportunity reach me? How did this shift unfold? How did everything turn around? And the answer will not be found in your own ability. It will rest in the undeniable truth that God placed his hand on your life and chose this precise moment for you. You remained faithful in seasons when it felt like nothing was moving. You continued when your strength felt empty. You believed when doubt tried to rule. You held on when the weight felt unbearable. And God has witnessed every single moment. God sees what others miss. God understands what others cannot discern. God knows the silent battles you never speak of. God knows the fears you carried alone. God knows the nights you prayed through tears. And nothing you have given, sacrificed, endured, or overcome has escaped his sight. There are miracles that arrive through sudden movement. There are miracles that arrive through quiet intervention. And there are miracles that arrive with overwhelming force. Miracles that rush into your life like a mighty wind and transform everything in an instant. Miracles that redirect your future in a single heartbeat. Miracles that lift you to levels you never imagined. And that is the kind of miracle God is preparing to release over you. But before the miracle arrives, God often allows the pressure to intensify. Just before the blessing breaks through, life feels heaviest. Just before the breakthrough appears, discouragement tries to settle in. Just before the door opens, it feels as though everything is opposing you. And many surrender right before God moves. But you are not going to quit. You are not going to collapse. You are not going to walk away from this moment. Because the pressure you feel is evidence that God is near. Is not the ending. It is the signal that your life is about to shift into a realm that will make everything you endured seem small compared to what God is about to release. There will be people who cannot comprehend how you rose with such speed. There will be voices questioning why the blessing landed on your life. There will be onlookers who cannot explain how everything shifted in your favor. But what they will never witness are the years of pressure, the long nights of prayer, the seasons of perseverance, and the quiet, steady faith that carried you through every valley. God is not elevating you in public without remembering the sacrifices you made in private. Some of you are about to encounter restoration that will leave you breathless. God is preparing to return what was taken. God is preparing to mend what was broken. God is preparing to replace what was lost. God is preparing to lift what was weighed down. God is preparing to revive what was fading. God is preparing to reward what you feared was forgotten. And when God restores, He never returns it as it was. He brings it back better. He brings it back multiplied. He brings it back in ways that exceed expectations and silence every doubt. You may feel as though you've been circling the same ground, facing the same barriers, wrestling with the same battles, but God is getting ready to break that pattern. The delay is ending. The stagnation is ending. The silence is ending. The unanswered prayers are nearing their fulfillment. The heavy burden is about to be lifted. The closed door is about to swing wide open, and once God opens it, no force on earth will be able to shut it. There's a shift taking place in your spirit even now. You may not see the miracle yet, but something deep inside you senses its nearness. Something is changing. Something is breaking loose. Something is preparing to be revealed. The atmosphere around your life is shifting. The ground beneath you is responding to what God has already spoken, and everything that once resisted you is about to release its grip. The miracle that is coming is not a small one. It is not a partial blessing. It is not a minor answer. It is a major breakthrough. It is a radical transformation. It is a life-altering intervention. When it arrives, it will move quickly. When it comes, it will restore immediately. When it appears, it will elevate instantly. When it manifests, it will multiply rapidly. This is not the blessing you have seen in the past. This is not the answer you once expected. This is greater. So lift your head, steady your spirit, and strengthen your faith, because God has witnessed your struggles. God has heard your prayers. God has observed your endurance. God has counted every tear. God has carried you through every storm. And God is preparing to flood your life with a miracle that will transform you forever. When God is ready to release a miracle of great magnitude, He does not pour it into a shallow spirit. He entrusts it to someone who has been stretched deeply enough to remain steadfast when the blessing comes. And that is why you have felt pressure in ways you never imagined. God has been reinforcing your inner foundation, so the weight of the miracle will not overwhelm what He is preparing to construct through you. There are blessings that arrive gently, and there are blessings that come carrying responsibility, influence, expansion, and transformation. And what God is preparing for you belongs to the second kind. This blessing is not coming to simply beautify your light. It is coming to redefine it completely. Right now, God is examining the strength of your faith, not to expose your weakness, but to uncover your capacity. God has no interest in placing something in your hands that your spirit is not yet equipped to carry. That is why He allows you to walk through situations that force you to reach deeper than ever before. He allows uncertainty so you learn to trust when vision is limited. He allows resistance so you learn to remain firm without wavering. He allows silence so you learn to follow without needing constant signs. And every time you choose to stay faithful when nothing makes sense, you pass a spiritual proving that unlocks a new level of blessing. Your miracle is not arriving because the road has been easy. It is arriving because you remained in the fight when everything tried to shatter you. It is arriving because you continued to believe when it felt like God was distant. It is arriving because you refused to allow despair to consume your purpose. God considers endurance an act of worship. God views perseverance as devotion. God regards consistency as faith in motion. And when someone holds on through the storm, God releases blessings that do more than reward. They elevate. There are miracles God releases quietly. And there are miracles God releases with such force that everything in your life must realign. What you are about to receive belongs to the second category. This is the kind of blessing that rearranges environments so new doors can emerge. The kind that shifts relationships, redirects your steps, and resets your priorities. God is not simply giving you something. He is repositioning you for something far greater than the struggle you survived. And understand this clearly. When God decides to advance your life, He does not wait for the approval of people who misunderstand you. Some of the disappointments you encountered were necessary to create space. Some people were removed because they would have weakened your blessing. Some connections had to end because they were never meant to walk with you into your next level. God will never permit the wrong voices to influence a miracle tied to your destiny. If He separates you, it is always for protection and for purpose. What feels like loss is actually God narrowing the circle around your life to guard your spirit and keep it undisturbed. There is always a moment before every miracle when confusion increases. You may feel flooded with thoughts that whisper that nothing will ever change. But that atmosphere of confusion is not a signal of defeat. It is the evidence that the enemy senses what God is about to do even before you can see it. God is preparing to move in your life. Disruption increases. Resistance grows stronger. And doubt tries to take root, because everything around you can sense that a shift is underway, and the blessing approaching you is too powerful to remain hidden. But hear this with your entire spirit. No force has the authority to interfere with what God has decided. No opposition has the power to cancel what God has placed on his timetable. No attack can stop what God has already ordained. You are not striving to earn a miracle. The miracle already belongs to you. You are simply moving toward the moment when God chooses to unveil it. And when it appears, it will not arrive quietly. It will come carrying the full authority of God's command behind it. Some of you have been praying for clarity, asking God to show you the way, to sharpen your understanding, to reveal the next step. But what you must understand is that God often releases direction through motion, not detailed explanation. He leads you by shifting your surroundings. He guides you by stripping away distractions. He redirects you through closed doors that steer you toward greater ones. And why you believed you were lost, God was leading you with flawless precision. You are not lost. You are being guided. You are not confused. You are being aligned. You are not wandering without purpose. You are walking a path God designed for you before you ever took your first breath. And the miracle you are approaching is not coming from the outside alone. It is rising from the plan God placed within you long ago. Me speak directly to the part of you that has grown weary. There is a version of you that has been fighting in silence, carrying burdens no one else can see. God has observed every step. God has heard every unspoken prayer. God has counted every tear. God has measured every weight that is rested on your shoulders. You have carried pressures that would have crushed others. You have endured trials that were meant to strengthen your spirit for this very moment. And God would not have brought you this far in your journey without fulfilling what he promised. As the miracle draws near, God will expand your spirit before he expands your territory. You may awaken with a fresh boldness, renewed strength, and clearer vision. Not because life suddenly changed, but because God is preparing you on the inside. The shift always begins within before it manifests around you. And when you start feeling that surge of courage in your heart, understand this: your breakthrough is no longer distant. It is close enough to reach. Someone listening right now is about to watch doors open that have remained sealed for years. Someone is about to see prayers answered that once seemed forgotten. Someone is about to be lifted into a position that previously felt impossible. Someone is about to receive a favor you did not earn, opportunities you did not chase, and breakthroughs you did not expect. And it will happen because God is faithful, not because life has been fair. Let this truth settle deeply within your spirit. God has not carried you this far only to leave your hands empty. God has not allowed you to grow, to struggle, to overcome, and to endure without purpose. God never wastes a single season. If something shattered you, he will use it. If something tests you, he will strengthen you through it. If something slows you down, he will restore what was lost. If something refined you, he will raise you higher. What is ahead is greater than your past, greater than your fears, and greater than the battles you are fighting right now. It rises above every negative word spoken against you. It rises above every failure trailing behind you. It rises above every doubt that tried to restrain you. God is getting ready to prove that the storm did not destroy you. The setback did not define you. and the hardship never held the final authority. This miracle is not coming to make small improvements. It is coming to completely reshape your life. And when God reshapes, He does not adjust tiny details. He shifts the entire atmosphere around you. You are about to be lifted out of places you once begged to escape. You are about to enter rooms you once only dreamed of. You are about to watch God move in ways that silence every critic and strengthen every part of your faith. So prepare your heart, prepare your mindset, and prepare your expectations, because God is already working behind the scenes. The miracle has already been written. The blessing has already been released. It is moving toward you with intention, and the moment it reaches you, your life will stretch in ways you never imagined. Every part of your spirit will know that God has always been faithful. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when God will not allow you to stay at the level where you merely survived. That moment often appears quietly, like a shift in the wind. It awakens something within you that whispers your life cannot continue as it has. And when that moment arrives, you sense that God is not just guiding you forward. He is elevating you upward. You feel an inner pull before the change reaches your circumstances. Start recognizing that old comforts no longer satisfy you. Old patterns no longer fit you, and old confidence is no longer enough for the territory ahead. God begins expanding you on the inside, because the miracle approaching demands a stronger version of you, one who can stand firm in places that once intimidated you. There are seasons when God leads you to the end of your own strength, so you finally see that your life is upheld by something far greater than your own ability. When you try every strategy you know and the door still refuses to open, when you give everything you have and the answer still does not come, when you push with all your might and nothing shifts, it is in moments like these that God speaks into your spirit, not to diminish your effort, but to awaken your dependence on Him. Because a life-altering miracle does not flow from human strength. It is born from the surrender of a heart that trusts completely. God is not waiting for you to become perfect. God is waiting for you to remain open. You may not fully realize it, but God has been working through circumstances you never saw clearly. The disappointments that unsettled you were actually rerouting your steps. The delays that irritated you were intentionally shaping your readiness. The endings that wounded you were quietly unlocking your freedom. And the silence that troubled you was God shielding you from stepping into situations that would have drained your strength. Every unanswered question from your past was already resolved in heaven, long before it ever formed in your heart. God does not speculate. God decides, and everything you have walked through was part of a design, so exact that a single shift, a single moment, or one conversation can now unlock the miracle appointed for your life. What you must understand now is that God is not asking you to fully understand what He is doing. He is asking you to trust that He is working. You do not need to predict the direction when God has already secured the destination. You do not need to calculate the timing when God's timing is always flawless. You do not need to solve how everything will unfold when God has already woven the outcome into your story. And because of this, the miracle moving toward you will feel both unexpected and perfectly timed. Some blessings arrive, Like seeds, you plant them, nurture them, and wait in patience. But other blessings rush in like a powerful flood, arriving so fast that they sweep away everything that once restrained your progress. And what is approaching in your life will not move slowly. It will not arrive quietly. And it will not unfold gradually. It will be a breakthrough that lifts years of hidden weight in a single moment. A shift that exchanges anxiety for peace, confusion for clarity, and fear for bold courage. When God moves in power, he does not seek approval from surrounding circumstances. He speaks and everything moves into alignment. You may have sensed recently that your life has been trembling beneath the surface. Foundations you once trusted began to feel unstable. Doors you depended on suddenly shut without warning. Situations you relied on shifted without explanation. But that shaking is not the sound of collapse. It is the rhythm of construction. God shakes what cannot support the next season so he can build something stronger in its place. And the more intense the shaking becomes, the closer the blessing draws near. If your life feels like it has been rattling from the inside out, lift your head because God is clearing the ground for something far greater. There is a purification God releases just before a major miracle is poured out. He refreshes the atmosphere. He exposes hidden intentions. He reveals truths that were buried beneath the surface. He dissolves ties that quietly weaken your spirit. He removes people whose presence would have diluted the blessing. And while you may have grieved these losses, heaven declares them victories because God will never allow anyone to stand beside you who cannot endure the elevation he is preparing to bring into your life. The miracle approaching you demands a heart that is pure, a mind that is clear, and a spirit that is anchored deep. God is clearing the space around your life so that when the blessing arrives, it falls on ground that is steady, refined, and ready. And hear this with certainty. When God declares that your moment has come, he does not require wide doors, flawless conditions, or the approval of everyone around you. God can take a single instant and rewrite an entire lifetime. One call, one opportunity, one connection, one encounter, one sudden turn. God can shift everything in your favor with less effort than it takes for you to breathe. And that is the power of his authority. And that is the force being prepared to move within your life. There is a part of you that is quietly wrestled with the question of readiness. But readiness is not built on certainty. It is formed through willingness. God is not searching for someone who sees every step ahead. God is seeking someone who will move even when the path is unclear. And you have shown again and again that you will advance even when fear rises, that you will continue even when loneliness weighs heavy, that you will still believe even when the odds speak against you, and that more than anything else is what positions you for a miracle of great magnitude. Some of you have carried guilt and shame from former seasons, believing they disqualify you from the future God has prepared. But God does not shape your tomorrow from who you used to be. He shapes it from who he knows you are becoming. Your past is not a prison. It is a place of instruction. What tried to crush you refined your direction. What wounded you strengthened your spirit. What you lost carved out space for what God is determined to give. And God never releases according to history. He releases according to destiny. As your miracle draws closer, you will notice your spirit becoming more responsive to subtle shifts. You will feel detached from what once dominated your focus. You will grow weary of conversations that no longer feed your soul, and you will sense a pull away from environments that no longer match your purpose. Not disinterest. This is divine pruning for higher ground. God does not permit what is unnecessary to remain where a miracle is about to rise. And just before the blessing breaks through, God will stretch your faith beyond what feels safe. He will call you to trust Him in deeper layers. He will press you to release worries you have carried for years. And He will invite you to loosen your grip on control. Because the miracle approaching is not something you can calculate, manage, or predict. It is something you must receive. And to receive something that weighty, your spirit must stay open and surrendered. Let me speak directly to your heart. Now, what you are facing is not proof that God has overlooked you. It is evidence that God is refining you. Silence is not rejection. Delay is not refusal. Every point of pressure in your life has been strengthening your endurance. Every season of waiting has been reinforcing your patience. Every stretch of silence has been refining your discernment. And every trial you face has been shaping your character into something strong enough to carry what is ahead. When God prepares to release a miracle that will redefine your entire destiny, He does not only bless you, He reshapes you. And that reshaping always begins within before it ever shows itself outwardly. Your thinking starts to line up with your calling. Your spirit begins to let go of what once weighed it down. Your heart feels lighter. Your vision grows sharper. Your faith runs deeper. And before the miracle ever appears, you start to sense its atmosphere surrounding your life. You are stepping into a season where God's movement will no longer be hidden. You will see fullness where there was emptiness. You will encounter favor where rejection once lived. You will discover an opportunity where loss once stood. You will feel peace where chaos once ruled. And you will know in every part of your being that only God could have arranged such a transformation. Your miracle is not arriving for a brief visit. It is coming to take residence. It is not coming to lift you for a moment. It is coming to elevate you for a lifetime. It is not coming to simply show you hope. It is coming to anchor you on purpose. And once it arrives, everything in your life will begin to reflect God's power, God's mercy, and God's intention. Because God is not finished with you. God is just beginning His greater work. There comes a moment in every life when you must choose what to do with the truth. God has been pressing into your heart. You can hear words like these, feel the stirring, sense the movement, and still walk away unchanged. Or you can respond to the call God is placing before you right now. The miracle approaching your life is not meant only to excite you. It is meant to awaken you. It is meant to ignite something deep inside you that refuses to settle for a life lived beneath your true potential. And if there was ever a moment to turn your whole heart toward God, it is this one. You cannot step into the next season of your destiny with a divided heart. You cannot bring old doubts into a place God has reserved for your strength. You cannot cling to fear when God is calling you into deeper trust. God is not asking you to be flawless. God is asking you to be flawless. God is asking you to be genuine, genuine about where you have grown distant, genuine about where your spirit has become tired, genuine about where your focus has drifted. Because the miracle moving toward you requires more than excitement alone. It requires surrender. It requires a heart willing to follow God with clarity, humility, and purpose. So stand before God with your entire spirit open. Lay down every burdened thought, every anxious fear, and every regret that continues to echo through your mind. Release the anxiety over what remains beyond your control. Release the burden of trying to repair what only God has the power to restore. Your life grows lighter the moment you lay down what God never asked you to carry. And as your heart begins to open, dare to ask God for greater courage. Ask for self-discipline. Ask for wisdom. Ask for strength to walk away from anything that dulls your light or pulls you off course from your purpose. Ask for a deeper sensitivity to His direction so you do not miss the moments He has already arranged. Ask for a spirit that moves forward with confidence instead of hesitation, because the road ahead calls for someone who is fully awake in faith, fully grounded in spirit, and fully anchored in the certainty that God will never fail them. Let your life become proof of what happens when trust in God is complete. Let your decisions reveal a heart that knows God is the source of every blessing. Let your actions express gratitude for every step He carried you through. Let your words breathe life into spaces where darkness once tried to settle. Let your spirit glow with the quiet confidence of someone who walks with purpose, because God is infusing that purpose within them. And as you stand at the edge of the blessing God is sending, refuse to draw back. Refuse to dim your faith to match the expectations of others. Refuse to let fear rewrite the story God is forming inside you. Lift your head, lift your heart, lift your expectations. God is not calling you to enter the life He designed in weakness. He is calling you to step into it with the authority of someone who knows they are guided, protected, and upheld. So move ahead with a spirit that is bold yet humble and fully prepared. Let your heart stay steady. Let your mind remain clear. Let your trust become unshakable. The miracle God is releasing is not reserved for those who watch from a distance.